I'd like to introduce our first speaker and keynote speaker of the night, Kevin Neish, a Victorian-based activist, and many of you, of course, know him, who was on board the first Mavi Marmara. I had the privilege, as many of you probably did, of hearing him when he first spoke after he came back from the Mavi Marmara at the mountain masjid at the Stone Church Mosque. And he is here again to share with us the experiences of that journey. So please help me in welcoming Kevin Neish.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not much of a public speaker. There's my notes for the night. The film you're going to see tonight, there is a bit of blood, and obviously there's some blood and wounds and whatnot in it. They're real, obviously, and it isn't even. I mean, you're not seeing the worst of it. The film crew didn't go down one deck below where the wounded were being taken care of. But I could tell you about that later on. And so I flew to, I can't think of the days even now, it would have been 26th of May, I guess. I flew to Cyprus, where Free Gaza has always worked out of. Landed in Cyprus and immediately was told, because of Israeli pressure, Cyprus had caved in and wouldn't allow Free Gaza to use Cyprus as a base. So I had to hop on a plane immediately next morning to Crete. Everything was shifted from Cyprus to Crete as a base for Free Gaza. The ships were waiting there for us. So we shipped out of Crete. There was about 14 internationalists on our ship. Had Colonel Ann Wright, I don't know if you remember her, United States Colonel who was against the Iraq War, against the American policy, was barred from Canada from speaking here. She was on my ship, 2 German MPs, various dignitaries from around the world, and 14 of us. Same thing on the Challenger 1, the other ship had similar crews, passengers. Halfway through the night, on the way to the rendezvous point, we lost our steering, and we had a double prop. So without the steering, we were still able to somewhat steer. It was in a storm. We took a horrendous beating. It turns out the Israelis, I don't doubt them a bit, they bragged openly that they sabotaged our ship, as well as the Challenger 1, as well as the Rachel Corrie. And all 3 ships were out of commission, had to go back. The Rachel Corrie was late because they had to go back to port, get repaired and come out. We got beaten up so bad because I'm a marine engineer, but I'm sure you can understand, without proper steering in a storm, you can't hit the waves properly. So we took a horrendous beating. And by morning, we had split a seam in the front of our bow. The ribs had come loose and we were taking on water. And the captain, the Greek captain said, "That's it. We're not going to Gaza. You know, this ship is we're going to be lucky to get back to Cyprus to save our souls." So the Hueda Araf, the Palestinian American leader of the Free Gaza, she was on board and she radioed to the other ships that we were at the rendezvous point alone, and they radioed ahead asking if there's anybody who could help us. And the Mavi Marmara, as it's like the cavalry, she came steaming over the horizon, this huge, a cruise ship. Dave started to look like a small cruise ship. She came over the horizon, and their captain said, "Certainly, we'll take you on board. We'll take the 14 internationalists." So this huge ship, we're the smallest, this is the biggest one. It pulled up, opened up a big door in the side of their hull, and welcomed us on board. So I was the first one, so I just grabbed my 2 suitcases and jumped across the opening on board, expecting to be welcomed with open arms. Here's the internationalists joining the Mavi. And I stepped on board, and there was a number of İHA, that's the IHH, the aid group from Turkey that ran the ship, purchased it $1 million, and organized everything on board. You'll see it in the film, there were a number of them with a little security on their vests. I stepped on, dropped the bags, and the fellow steps up to me, an Indonesian fellow, I believe he says, "Put your hands in the air." Okay? And he frisked me top to bottom, thoroughly. He says, "Okay, take your bags," or no, actually I didn't touch the bags. And they grabbed the bags, took them over there. He says, "You sit over there in that little area over there." Okay, fine. They were looking for weapons. They were, again, get back to this point, I'll be returning to it, what the Israelis say and what I saw. They were looking for weapons. Nobody got on board that ship from anywhere without being searched. And so they frisked me down, they put me into like a quarantine. And so in case they did find something, they'd be able to deal with me. I wasn't allowed to go anywhere until they ripped my bags apart. Being an old-fashioned mechanic, haywire mechanic, I had a pocket knife. Every mechanic has a pocket knife in his bag. That pocket knife went over the side. They found that in the bottom of my bag. And booze, obviously, the film crew had some booze, Australians, and they lost all their booze. They weren't happy about that. But just to make the point that they were thorough. I'll try and say what I saw. Anyways, so from that point, I was suddenly on the Mavi Marmara. Quick comment, I thought, I'm going from the smallest ship to the biggest ship. Oh, I'll be safer here. So I spent a couple of days breaking bread, having tea, meeting with these folks. The ship had about 60 journalists. You'll see a number of them in the film here. 60 to 100 women. They had their own deck. The first deck, which is the safest deck down below, was strictly for women. If they wanted to be completely away, many women circulated all through the ship. Many Arab journalists, many women were wandering about breaking bread and tea and socializing. And then there was, you'll see it, you can see it here. Middle-aged, older, balding men, same as me, more pot-bellied, and you'll see them, and you'll see the wounded and the dead. You'll take note of them, please. So just remember what Netanyahu says: "It's a ship of murderers and killers." And I was a dupe being used to draw Jews, his words, onto the ship so these jihadists could kill Jews. That's what they said about me. You can have your own take when you see what happened on the ship and what I saw. So we'll spend a couple of days. And then the evening before the attack, it would have been the 30th, the Israelis showed up on the horizon. I could see the two missile launchers. I could see the lights on the horizon either side. Planes circling overhead. There was a drone. I didn't hear it, but it was a drone that circled around, unmanned drone. There were two submarines. I didn't see them, but there have been many, many reports of the two submarines that were amongst the crowd. And the way the lineup was, there was a T formation, so there was 5 ships abreast of us, behind us, but abreast. Freighters on the outside, a freighter in the middle, and the 2 small passenger ships, Challenger 1 and the Greek ship. I call it the 8,000 in honor of 8,000 Israeli prisoners in Israeli prisons. Then the Mavi was at the front, leading this flotilla. So we're steaming through the night because I saw the ships. I'm partly colorblind, so I could actually see in the dark much better, and I spotted them first, and which got the folks around me pretty excited because they didn't realize they were there. And then the captain announced that the ships were following us and had contacted us. And a little quicker here, I think things I saw. So I was wandering around the deck. I didn't think the Israelis were going to attack. When the captain announced that the Israelis were following us, he didn't give an order to put life jackets on, but everybody put life jackets on. You'll watch, you see one right there. You'll see in the photograph, in the pictures, many people have life jackets on. No one's going to fall off this ship. Hand railings, it's a big, big ship. It's my take, it's up to you to decide whether it's right. These folks had life jackets on, not because they thought they were going to fall overboard or anything else. They were either going to get to Gaza, or the Israelis were going to have to sink them. That's what the mentality was, and I heard that in the prison because I spent 2 days in prison with these good folks, and that's what the drive was. Gaza, or the Israelis were going to have to do something to stop them. And and the thing they expected, because they knew there was going to be submarines, and they were there, was that the Israelis would take her down if they didn't stop. So that's why you see so many life jackets all the way through.